Scott, it's hard to imagine what goes through the mind of a mother who abandons her own baby, but it does happen, and often the results are very tragic. But there is hope in the form of a law that hopes to make a difference. Brenda Baumgartner tonight shows us how it has made a huge difference, at least for one local family.
Recently in the state of Florida, it was reported a newborn baby was tossed from a moving car. It later turned out that the mother made up the story in an attempt to abandon her child. There's a law in Florida, as well as 47 other states, including Idaho, that allows parents to give up their babies within a certain amount of time without the fear of retribution. Senior reporter Suzanne Hobbs was a vital part of making the Safe Haven Act a law in Idaho. And the ironic twist to this story will surprise you. It was a chilly October morning in 2000 when Suzanne learned while doing her rounds calls of a grisly discovery. The police informed her that a newborn baby had been found dead in a dumpster.
I get over to where the baby was found in the dumpster, and there were police officers there, and there was tape up. And we get there, and shortly after we arrived, you could see the yellow dumpster. A man from the funeral home reached in and pulled out this little baby. And you could see, and when I saw that, it just really, I'll never forget seeing that. Seeing this little baby's body come out of the dumpster.
The mother of that baby was a teenager who had hidden her pregnancy from her family. The father of that girl was so sad to learn what his daughter had done and told Suzanne about something he had heard that might keep others from doing the same desperate act.
He had even said, I'd heard that in other states there's a law like this.
Suzanne felt something had to be done, so she contacted State Senator Bart Davis.
She would not let me set it aside.
In a ceremony at an Idaho Falls fire station, the Safe Haven Act was signed into law by Governor Dirk Kempthorne, and a surprise Suzanne was singled out and given a pin to honor her efforts. It was a proud day for Suzanne, but little did she know that the law she helped enact would change her life forever. We'll show you how when our story continues. Before the break, we told you about Suzanne Hobbs' efforts to enact a law in Idaho that gives mothers the ability to give up their babies without retribution in an effort to keep them from doing something desperate, like put their baby in a dumpster. We now continue our story and show you how that law not only changed Suzanne's life, but quite possibly saved the life of a baby girl. Suzanne and Brandon Hobbs have been married 8 years.
But a friend of ours said, well, you know, Valentine's Day this year is on a Friday. And we thought, perfect, we'll get married on a Friday and Valentine's Day, and then he'd never forget our anniversary, and he hasn't.
After about a year, the couple felt it was time to start a family.
You know, I'd feel sick, and I'd think, okay, I'm pregnant, this is it. And it just went on and on and on, month after month, and couldn't get pregnant for years.
They had some tests, but nothing ever really pointed to a problem, and yet still no baby. And while the couple were saddened that their plans for a family weren't going as planned, it was the comments they heard from others after 5 years of trying that were often the most painful.
A lot of people would ask us, why don't you have kids? How come you don't have kids? And why are you buying a hot tub, and why are you driving these nice cars? You need to be spending your money on having kids. And it was really hard because we were trying. You know, I'd sit in church and cry because there were all these babies in church. And I looked at Brad and I said, I can't come anymore because there's so many babies that I don't have one. And we'd been married for 6 years, and it hurt.
That weekend turned into one of prayer and decisions. They had spent years trying, going to doctors and filling out adoption papers. And that night they decided to leave it in God's hands.
And that's what I kind of took to the Lord, and I just said, you know, if this is what you've wanted me to follow, if this is what you want us to do, then send them.
This wasn't the first time Suzanne and Brandon crumbled under the intense sadness of not having a child, but it would be the last. In fact, that very Sunday that Suzanne cried in church, across town at a hospital, a baby was being born that would change their lives.
The phone rang, and I was about to tell Brandon, don't answer it, because we're late, we need to go. But he answered the phone, and I'm really glad he did.
Yeah.
And I could tell immediately.
This one's a 2-day-old baby. Would you be interested in her? And I was like, oh. Well, then I was pretty much floored because I couldn't believe it. I just called the Lord out last night. Well, you'll have to name her before she can be released from the hospital. I said, well, I haven't even seen her. I don't even know what she looks like. And they go, well, just name her something. And I says, well, what does she look like? And they said, well, she has really big brown eyes. And she's always looking around. She's got dark hair. and she's 5 pounds, 3 ounces. Well, how about Lillie?
And I just broke down. Walking down the hallway into the nursery with an empty car seat, about to see our baby. In the middle of the room, in one of those little baskets, there was this little baby wrapped in a pink blanket, and she just was sitting there, just staring. And we walked in the room, and I couldn't walk any further. My feet stopped. I just was about 10 feet from her, and I looked at her, and there was my baby. And she was looking at me. And the police officer and the social worker were standing by Lillie, and they said, come closer, come see your baby. And I was like, is that her? And it was so neat to see my baby for the first time, and I knew she was mine. I gave her to Brandon, and he held her, and he just broke down, and he just held her, and he cried. And it was a beautiful moment. It was just a huge relief, a huge sigh of relief, because she was finally in our arms after more than 6 years of waiting for her. And she was an answer to our prayers.
And for the woman who left her baby at the hospital, knowing she couldn't give her the life she deserved,
I think about her about every day. I really do. And we'll never know anything about her. We'll never know who she is. But if I could tell her thanks and let her hold her child or show her a picture, I'm just so grateful.
Thank you, Lillie, a big hand.
the official adoption took place almost exactly a year later, and the little girl who came into this world so humbly has had a powerful effect on everyone's lives she's touched.
I just can't imagine what life would be like without Lillie.
Since the Safe Haven Act was signed into law, there have been 6 babies in the state of Idaho, including Lillie, that have been saved by being taken to a safe place. Unfortunately, there have still been several babies abandoned and found dead. Suzanne did this story with the hopes that she could get the word out about the Safe Haven law. Now back to you.
Thank you very much, Brenda, and Suzanne, and Lillie, and
the whole gang.
yeah.